Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rational Female Podcast. And today I am live, and it is indeed my 29th birthday. So it is June the 11th, and it is currently 6 p.m. in the UK. So, to everyone who is out there today, I really just wanted to do this kind of, I guess, impromptu, solo stream. I think this is the third one I've done now so far. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, right, YouTube has it's been incredible the past 6 months now that I've been making consistent videos. So since the end of December. And I have been making YouTube videos. So for those who don't know, I'll tell a bit of my story. So I'm 29 today, and I've been making YouTube videos since I was 15. And sorry, is everything looking all right, by the way, or is it like out of sync? Just do let me know if you're in the chat. Anyway, so I've been making videos since I was 15, since 2012, and I kind of started off doing like comedy skits, and I also did videos of myself like playing guitar and singing, and it was really fun. And then, yeah, I kind of did it on and off for like, a few years in my late teens, early 20s. And then when I was 20, I think I was either 23 or 24, I started an author channel for my books. And I just started talking about my fiction and all the books that I've published. And I was making videos just about the content that I have put out there in terms of my self-published work. And I think for a while I wanted to start a channel where I was talking about feminism. And I guess I thought it might be really interesting because oh god, sorry, my phone's ringing. I just hung up. Yeah, I okay, that's distracted me. So yeah, I would like to, I guess, now I'm really distracted. Okay, what was I talking about? YouTube, good. So yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to make a channel where I was talking about feminism and my general views on feminism. And, because I've been so interested in feminism for so long, like I've been researching it for such a long time, like literally since I was 14, right? So I was a feminist between the age of 14 till 18, and I was really, really pro liberal feminism, definitely not radical feminism. I made that very, very clear. I'm very distracted because it looks like the lighting is fading in and out. I don't know if that's just me, but whatever. And yeah, so much stimulation really distracts me. Anyway, so yeah, I was a feminist for 4 years, and I really thought feminism was a very positive development. And I've got so many books. So one of my favorite books was How to Be a Woman by Caitlin Moran, who is a well-known British liberal feminist. And I really thought feminism was basically just all about equality for men and women. I really, really believed that. I really believed that feminism was about men and women having equal rights and women being able to make choices. And sometimes I sit in my bedroom just so sad because I'd be thinking, oh my God, like women since the dawn of time have been unable to do anything. And it's only the last like 40 or 50 years that women have actually had any rights. I genuinely believed that women have been historically oppressed since the dawn of time because that is largely the feminist narrative. So this is something I very staunchly thought. And I thought that, I thought women just basically were second-class citizens, which is the general feminist kind of narrative. And so when I was 18, I went to the University of York to do philosophy. And I remember talking to a girl in my flat, and I said to her, "Are you a feminist?" And she was like, "Yes, I'm a massive feminist." And she said, "Feminism is for men too." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Something in my head just snapped. And I realized that feminism is not for men and women. It's actually a kind of female supremacist movement. I'm just going to message the person who rang me because I think it was someone who rang me to wish me happy birthday. So, yeah, I'm just going to do that and then resume the conversation. Hmm. Hmm. Anyway, so as I was saying, I thought that feminism was basically a kind of positive development. And then I obviously started to think that something in my head just snapped. And I think it had been building up for some time because I was in this feminist society in my sixth form, which for people who aren't from the UK is basically the equivalent to high school. So between the ages of 16 and 18, I was in my sixth form's kind of feminist society, and I would be talking about feminism. I was so passionate about feminism. I was always like, yeah, feminism is for girl power. And I really defended Beyonce. And there would be all these debates at our school. And I remember this one really interesting debate about whether or not Beyonce is a feminist role model. And I say, yes, she is a feminist role model. So because I loved Beyonce, like I've got a video about Beyonce, and I still, I still like her music. I think her music's fun. I go to one of her concerts, but I don't think she's a very I don't think I think she's a very good businesswoman, and I think she's saying that she's a feminist because it's a marketing tactic. I don't think she actually knows anything about feminism. She probably has no clue who Kate Millett is or who Betty Friedan is. I mean, she probably just like thinks that feminism was about equal rights for women. And I think that's the majority of people who identify as feminists. They generally haven't actually looked into feminism. So I did when I identified as a feminist as a teenager. I read The Female Eunuch by Germaine Greer. So that was probably the key seminal feminist text I read. The Female Eunuch, I don't remember much of it apart from something about teachers or teaching. I think that she was kind of critiquing teaching as being like the only kind of profession that women could go into. That's all I remember. I don't know why I remember that, but it must have stuck in my head somehow. But yeah, and I remember just having all of these doubts in my head. Like I'd watch TV shows or films, and I'd kind of feel like the female characters were very hostile towards the male characters. There was a lot of like female on female fighting and arguing and cattiness, which I also experienced a lot from other females as a child and as a teenager, which I've talked about in some other videos. But yeah, I didn't feel like what I was being told matched with reality. It seemed like the narrative of women having always been oppressed and women being second class citizens and women being inferior to men just didn't really make any sense to me. I didn't think my mum was being oppressed. I didn't think women were inferior. And I remember just thinking, like, the world is full of women. And I thought it's so wonderful. And to some extent, it is. Like, I'm not against women being in careers. I'm not against women having any rights. I'm not against women. Like, I keep saying this because I'm just so sick of people thinking that anti feminism is anti women. But I would have thought that. Like, if you'd have talked to me at 17, I would have, if someone said I'm an anti feminist, I would have been like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you mad? Do you hate women? So, yeah, I would have been like that. And I think what maybe shifted me was my willingness to listen to other people's views and to challenge my own views and to think outside the box. I've always been like that. So, yeah, I went to York and I talked to somebody, and then she said she was a feminist and feminism was pro men as well. And then I guess I just started to kind of think, now I don't really want to be a feminist anymore. I think I got fed up of it. And I was seeing a lot of stuff I didn't like these like ban bossy campaign, and this was like 2015. So the kind of fourth wave feminism was really, really kind of kicking off in this kind of era between like in the 2010s basically. And you had so ban bossy, you had Emma Watson's he for she speech, you had these kind of very key like moments in contemporary feminism, and you have things like mansplaining and manspreading, the internet kind of feminism that a lot of people now say is where feminism has gone too far. So I kind of held this view. So from the age of about 18 until maybe 22, I kind of held the view that feminism was once a very good, noble, positive movement up until maybe like the early 2000s. I genuinely thought that the feminism of the past was very good. And I thought feminism was very much a kind of pro female empowerment ideology in the past, but there was like third and fourth wave feminism that had become bad. And from my experience, most people generally tend to hold that view. Most people don't really identify as feminists, but most people would say, yeah, feminism did some good for women in the past. Women were once being oppressed. Like 90% of people I talk to have that view. They say, like, yeah, no, I don't really like feminism, but I think, yeah, women were once oppressed. Women couldn't do this, women couldn't do that. And I guess I always kept thinking to myself, like, what actually is the truth? Because it doesn't seem feasible or plausible. And it's taken me quite a while to come to this point. It doesn't seem very plausible that women as an entire collective group have always been oppressed. It just doesn't register in my brain. It makes no sense. Like, we know that every single racial group has been a slave. Obviously, there's African Americans who've been slaves, well, Africans technically. There's Hebrews and Jewish people were badly discriminated against. But the idea that women as an entire group and collective have always been oppressed, it sounded very strange to me. Like, I remember I kept thinking, yeah, women since the dawn of time have been oppressed. And I start thinking, what does that make sense? And I just be ruminating it over and over again. So I started a blog in 2017 called the Zarina Matcha blog, and it was really fun. It was a great outlet for me. It wasn't my first time blogging. I think I did a bit of blogging as a teenager because my dad encouraged me and my brother to like do that, which is great. But yeah, it was my first kind of serious blog where I was like an adult. I was 19, and so a young adult. And yeah, I was blogging, and then there was this woman who started talking to me and responding to my blog posts. I think she found me on Google Plus, which is no longer active, but Google Plus, I was very much like an active user of Google Plus in like 2017 and 2018. And that's where I met a lot of people like online, and I would kind of talk to them, and I'd share my blog posts in Google Plus. They were called, I think, circles or hangouts. They were like these mini discussions. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I was talking to this woman, and she was always kind of responding to my blog posts and leaving comments. And she was always saying things like kind of challenging what I was saying. And she'd say what she agreed with and say what she disagreed with. It's really interesting. So she started to make me think, because she'd be saying things like, well, and the thing what I really like is that she wasn't, it's kind of like the way I talk to people now about their views on feminism. I think I've kind of adopted the same kind of views that she had with me, in the sense that I don't attack the person, I just challenge what they're saying. So, for example, the most commonly held beliefs are that women in the past were oppressed because they couldn't work, women were sexually repressed, women were second class citizens, women had no rights in marriage, women would be beaten up by their husbands. All of these are like false narratives that have been spread by feminism, and a lot of it originates with The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State by Friedrich Engels, which I read last year. And yeah, I think that because people haven't actually dug into these ideas, they make these assumptions, right? So I had all these assumptions, and then it was only through, like, this woman completely changed my life. And we did email for a while. We were corresponding. It just, fizzles out, as a lot of stuff does. And she told me about some books. So I remember looking up, there's this whistling noise outside. I don't know if you can hear it. It's really, really irritating. Anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, what was I saying? There are so many books out there, and the first book, like the first anti-feminist book I read, because I read quite a lot of feminist books, like I think maybe 10 or 9 or 8 or something. Like, I had them. Like, there was this one I read called Misogynies by Joan Smith, Feminism for Beginners. I read, I've had them in a image, I can't remember now, but yeah, I read a bit of the BT Myth. But anyway, so I decided to read The Flip Side of Feminism by Suzanne Venker, and I read it as an ebook on my Kobo e-reader, and it was kind of a shock. It was a massive eye-opener, because in The Flip Side of Feminism, Suzanne Venker is basically arguing that women actually weren't always oppressed. And she talks about, for example, how birth control and advances in technology, like the technological consumerist boom of the post-war era in she's mainly talking about America because she's American. So it's written by Suzanne Venker and Phyllis Schlafly. And yeah, she talks about stuff which I say now, how like the rise of inventions like domestic appliances, so washing machines, electric ovens, these kind of consumerist these what do I call it? Like these domestic appliances, they freed up a lot of time. So before, housewives would have had to spend so much time slaving away at home. But these inventions, largely created by men, actually gave women more free time. And birth control was revolutionary because it meant that women could delay having children to focus on a career or an education, or not have, 8 children, not just keep pumping out children, have less children if they wanted to. I'm not saying whether I think that's good or bad. I'm just describing what happened, right? So these inventions, because they kind of came about around the time the second wave feminism was developing, a lot of people attribute feminism to things like birth control and women basically becoming more independent. But I would say, and this is, like it's really because I've read so many books now. So yeah, I read The Flip Side of Feminism, and she talks about a lot of stuff I didn't like at the time, like about hookup culture. And she's also very, very anti-abortion because she's right wing American, and right wing Americans tend to be very anti-abortions. I can't stand America. Well, I can't stand conservatism in general, which is really ironic considering a lot of people who are like left wing think that I'm like really conservative. I'm really not. Like, I'm definitely not conservative. I don't like conservatism. I'm really not a conservative at all. I would definitely say I'm a classical liberal culturally, because I can't stand like the conservative view for me is just so like, especially economically, I don't agree with it at all. And I don't like the general anti-feminist view on abortion because I think a lot of it is actually tied to religion. So I think that most people who say abortion should be banned are usually religious or spiritual. They're usually arguing from that perspective. And I am an atheist. I have been now, well, had this period in my life. I was an atheist years ago as well. I've been an atheist now consistently, probably, yeah, since January. So yeah, so I didn't like a lot of what she said, but I liked there was like these chapters where I think she was saying some good stuff, and she was talking about like the Equal Rights Amendment, which Phyllis Schlafly actually campaigned against. And Phyllis Schlafly basically read up on the Equal Rights Amendment because what it would have done, and there's this excellent docudrama, by the way, called Mrs. America, which you should definitely watch if you're out there. If you like want to, by the way, this isn't scripted. This is literally me just talking free flow. I'm not even thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just talking about what's in my head. So yeah. So there's this docudrama called Mrs. America, and it's so good because it's basically about the Equal Rights Amendment, and you see like how Phyllis Schlafly was going up against a feminist. It is very biased, I would say. Like, it's very pro-feminist. It's very like biased in favor of the feminists, but it's really, really well made, I would say, for a general drama. I enjoyed it. I'd actually like to watch it again and do like a video, just make a video talking about it. But yeah, the ERA. So what the idea is that men and women would be fully equal under the law, but then a lot of like older women and married women or widows would have lost a lot of privileges like alimony or certain like privileges that they would have held would have been stripped from them, because the idea is that men and women would become equal. So it would have been good for, say, young single women, but not so good for older married women. And Phyllis Schlafly, she was very right wing. She was also a Catholic. That's me rolling my eyes, but she was religious, whatever. But she said a lot of things I agree with, in the sense that yes, American women, specifically white American women, are the most privileged women in the world. I completely agree with that. And she said that, the feminists are in a fight with nature, which they absolutely are. They think you're oppressed because they're women, because they have to give birth. And Phyllis Schlafly, like, she was incredible. She literally, like, did so many things. She worked. I think she went to university. Her parents, I think they survived, like, the Great Depression or something. And she went through so much hardship, and she became very successful. And I don't know if it's so much hard, just trying to remember, because you think of things, you remember them. But her life was, she was very resourceful. She became very successful. She became a lawyer. She became involved in politics, and she had 6 children. So I think like she was really incredibly interesting as a person, and she was very right, like in terms of saying things about, if you think what's going on now with like the whole trans ideology and saying gender as a social construct, she was kind of pushing back against that. For example, when she was saying how they're going to erase the idea of sex and create a sex neutral society. So she was kind of foreshadowing a lot of things. She did a video saying Phyllis Schlafly warned us, but yeah, again, she's not someone that I would say I like. She's someone I would say I admire in some aspects. I don't like her, conservatism economically. I don't like her Catholicism. I don't like just the whole American republicanism, just makes me like really cringe. It's the same way I feel towards the left, although I feel that I find anyway that people who are right wing are much, much easier to talk to than people who are on the left, because I find that people who are right leaning are much, much more like chilled out. Anyway, hello Theo. Yes, happy birthday to you too for yesterday. Good to see you. Yeah. So anyway, the flip side of feminism is such a good book, and like this is a big part of who I am. I mean, okay, I don't want to like overly big myself up, but I would say like one of my genuinely good qualities is I am very, very interested in engaging with people who don't think like me, because that is how I learn. And I said this to my best friend yesterday. Like, we went to the cinema. Oh my god, we saw this brilliant film. It was called Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg. And yeah, like I was saying to her like how I learn from everyone. I learn from everybody. Every single person I meet teaches me something. I'm always learning constantly, not just from reading, but also from like talking to people. Because there's so many different perspectives out there, and you can learn so much just by talking to other people about anything, right? So the flip side of feminism was so cool. And then after that, I read that in 2020, and it was a couple of years, I think. And then I read, yeah, I think it was like a couple years later, I started thinking about starting a channel, a kind of non-feminist channel, which I wanted to call Non-Feminist Gal. And I wanted to read a few books before I started it. So I picked 3 books. I read Free Women, Free Men by Camille Paglia, The Myth of Male Power by Dr. Warren Farrell, and Who Stole Feminism by Christina Hoff Sommers. So I read all those books, I think it was in 2022. My favorite was definitely Free Women, Free Men. I love it because I think Camille Paglia is so fascinating. Like, she's someone I'm probably very aligned with, because she's more, again, of the kind of classical liberal end as opposed to like the conservative end, I would say. And I think she's really interesting. Like, she's so intelligent. She does call herself a feminist. She would be a libertarian feminist, which I'm not sure is real feminism because she's so critical of feminism. And I don't think you can call yourself a feminist and be so ardently critical, because most feminists wouldn't sit down and say, "Oh yes, feminism has this problem." They probably say like, "Well, yeah, some people don't understand it, blah blah blah." But if anyone like wanted, because I've read so many books on the subject now, I'm literally looking on my bookshelf next to me, and like I would say, Free Women, Free Men. My camera's blurred, but I would say this is the best book to start with if you are a bit curious and you want kind of a perspective that isn't necessarily like super right wing or super left wing. It's a more centrist perspective. She's very poetic. Like, her linguistic style is very poetic, and she does talk a lot about, I'd say, the problems of second and third wave feminism. So she does praise the first wave of feminism, but she's really cool. So I liked her a lot. Christina Hoff Sommers, I'm not a big fan of her because she literally has a podcast called The Factual Feminist, and I feel like she's just kind of praising feminism, whereas Camille Paglia, she's a bit more, I don't know how I would explain this. Like, she does praise first wave feminism, but she doesn't really go out and say I'm a factual feminist. It's not the same. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I prefer Camille Paglia. They have some different views on some things. I think definitely regarding like sexual expression, which I was very so in kind of 2022 when I started the channel, I was still very kind of pro like sex positivity and all that. And I was very pro like adult performing and prostitution. I thought it was like, I was very pro that kind of liberal sex positivity. And then I think since I was kind of came out of hospital, since I was sectioned and got better and stuff, I've started to kind of see all that as a bit tasteless and nihilistic. So I don't really support that anymore. And I also feel like because of what I'm doing, I'm not sure it's a good idea for me to argue that like casual sex and hookup culture is a positive thing. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm not sure that's a good approach because also a lot of people do associate feminism with supporting like the hookup culture. I mean, the video I just posted yesterday is actually talking about that problem, right? The problem of how you have a lot of feminists who are very sex positive, like Lacey Green, or Gail Rubin, and then you have the feminists who are very like anti that. So this is where feminism gets confusing. So yeah, this is why like because even like in the flip side of feminism, Suzanne Venker, she goes on and on about the promiscuity thing, right? And because I'm editing, so I've been editing. I'm gonna upload 2 videos next week of me reacting to myself on Just Pearly Things from 2023, and I like heavily edited the video, so like I really really condensed it, and then I'm gonna film my reactions next Tuesday, which is my filming day, and like I honestly, there's this obsession with female promiscuity and body count, and for me, it's not even like a personal thing for me at all. It's more that I just think it's a bit tasteless because the thing is, right, most feminists, from what I have read about, they're not actually arguing for women to go out and have a lot of sex. They're arguing for against the pay gap. They're arguing against domestic violence. They're arguing against men being overrepresented in politics. I don't really see most feminists talking that much about like sexual sex really. Like a Sex in the City, sure, but Sex in the City is like a TV show. I love Sex in the City, as I've said, but it's a TV show. It's not like an academic show. It's just fun, really. So I don't understand why we have so many of these red-pilled anti-feminists like Pearl being like so consumed and obsessed with the idea of women, having a lot of casual sex because I'm not even sure, like, yes, of course, the sexual revolution was tied in with feminism, with liberal feminism specifically. But I just think that there's too much emphasis on it and not enough because the reason I say this is because feminists, like, for example, I had a feminist on my channel, right? Like, I think it was a month ago. She didn't talk about that. Like, actual educated academic feminists, especially older feminists, they're more concerned with domestic violence against women or women being paid less than men, or not enough women in politics, or abortion rights. They don't say, oh, yeah, we want the right to sleep with whoever we want. So it's a bit like, what the hell? You know what I mean? It doesn't really feel like, it feels like it's very boring because, yeah, we could sit and talk about, the problems with casual sex and with hookup culture. It's just that I think so much emphasis has been put on that on the internet over the past like few years, and not enough has been put on the other things, which, like, for example, the whole anti-marriage, anti-family, anti-women, anti-men, and also just spreading lies, like, for example, saying women are paid less than men. They are not. Saying that women are disproportionately more likely to be murdered by their husbands. They are not. And I don't know, it just seems like there's so much emphasis on it. But anyway, so yeah, so I've done, a lot of reading. And then when I started the channel, I was making these videos and they were they were a lot of them, some of them were quite long, but they were also not very well edited. Like, I didn't do much fancy editing. I basically just sat in front of my phone camera and talked. And I was like, hi, my name is Zarina Matcha, and you are watching Non-Feminist Gal. And yeah, I was filming on my phone. Well, I had a different phone, but but yeah, so I was filming, and my background, like, because it was in my old bedroom where I used to live with my family, and I think that I didn't think about it at the time, but in hindsight, when I look back at those older videos, and you can, if you go back to the older videos on my channel, you'll see them because I re-uploaded everything after I deleted my channel. Those videos, I'm kind of sitting there and I've got like my tiger in the background and like this pink bedspread. It doesn't look like professional woman talking about a serious subject. So yeah, so ironically, I don't want to say this in the wrong way because I don't want to romanticize this at all. But me, like, going through what I went through, being sectioned and being ill, and just going through like this horrible, horrible trauma, and coming out of it and just getting back to what I've been doing, it seems to have done me a massive world of good. It's hot. I don't, I don't want to talk about it too much, but um, in terms of like my channel growth, I'm so pleased. I mean, I'm gonna be getting my first payment from YouTube next month in July. I've seen on my page, the Creator Studio. So yeah, I'm now, officially gonna be starting making money from YouTube, which is incredible. And I'm shocked, really. I don't know what to say. A part of me is annoyed because it's like I kind of hoped I'd have 2,000 subscribers by now, but even so, like I read that only like 3% of channels actually get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think I saw that in a video. I'm not sure to what extent that's true, but the percentage of channels that actually get 1,000 subscribers or get monetized is very, very small. So yeah, as I said at the start of this video, I've been making videos since I was 15 and now I'm 29. And this is the first time in my life where like YouTube is actually working well for me. So maybe in like a year or so, when I've got a bit more of a more subscribers and stuff, I'm going to really seriously talk about what has worked for me in terms of growing my channel. A massive thing that has helped has been using ChatGPT, because like if it wasn't for ChatGPT, I don't know where I'd be, because what I started doing was the first time I knew videos, I talked about my illness. So that aside, when I did a video talking about the the UK law saying that boys need to stop being misogynistic to girls, whatever, it's a bunch of nonsense. So what I did was I wrote the whole script and I pasted it into ChatGPT and basically said to edit the script. It edited the script and it also gave me title ideas. It gave me thumbnail ideas. So I made the thumbnail. I design all the thumbnails myself. I don't use AI to make my thumbnails, right? I design the thumbnails myself, but then I upload a ChatGPT and say, give me some feedback. So it gives me feedback. And that's basically how I've been doing it, right? And I'll do that for like basically all my stuff. And I use Grok a little bit as well. I prefer Grok more for factual things. Like if I want to know something, I'm like, hey, I need what is blah blah blah. I find Grok is better for factual stuff. ChatGPT, I use it for more personal stuff because like I have so many like saved memories, and I've also personalized it so it talks to me in a certain way. Because I don't like it when it's agreeable. I like it to kind of challenge me and not interrogate me, but like be, it's on like efficient mode. So it's not all like, hello, how's your day? It's more like, so blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I've become so pro AI. I'm in this politics group. We actually meet every Thursday, and I'm obviously not there today because today's Thursday. But yeah, I'm very pro AI because AI has helped me so much. I wouldn't be where I am on YouTube if not for AI. So I can't be anything but grateful for AI. So yeah, and I don't ask ChatGPT to give me ideas. Every single idea I have for a video or for a Substack article, anything I do, it all comes from me, right? I don't need help with ideas. I ask it to help me with formatting, essentially, right? And editing, the technicalities of it. I don't need help with ideas. I have too many ideas, like literally millions of ideas, right? Not literally, but yeah, I have so many ideas. So there's always something. And what I actually decided to do was, I think, somebody, because you hear things and I started thinking, oh, it's a good idea. So I decided to because I had too many ideas, I decided to take a bunch of them and make them into shorts. So now my shorts, basically anything that is just I don't want to make a full length video on, I just make into shorts. And sometimes I think about something and I just write it on Twitter. I still say Twitter. Yeah, I write it on Twitter and I think, oh, that's a good short. And I found that the shorts, what I do with them is so when I film my videos, I basically batch film them all in one go in front of my bookshelf, and then I just edit them into like the shorts, and I just schedule them to be uploaded. So yeah, that's really cool. So it's fantastic. It's really been so good, and I'm so lucky. Um, I'm so grateful, and I still feel like there's so much more to learn. So, yeah, I think my favorite book I've read so far on critiquing feminism would be Yes, Free Women, Free Men. I really liked Is There Anything Good About Men by Roy Burmeister. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed The Feminist Lie. I'm actually currently reading Feminism, Myths, Lies, and Ungratefulness by Nick Buckley. So I did a video with him back in 2023 before I was in hospital, and I did kind of skim through his book, but I didn't properly read it. So I decided, like, I read like maybe the first chapter or something, but I wanted to actually properly read it because I was very, very interested. So I read, and I like having the physical books as well. So I've been reading it. I'm about three-quarters of the way through. It's telling me a few things. It's not really telling me much that I don't know already, but it's still very good. And again, it's telling me things that make me think. Like a couple things said in it made me think, oh yeah, I can that. Like I was inspired by something you mentioned in the book, which I mentioned in my last video. So there's always things, and also like it's because everyone's going to approach it differently, right? So yeah, I honestly, I absolutely love this. I'm so passionate about this, and oh, I just saw something. Happy birthday. Isn't it strange that the pro feminists view the most libertized women are women that act exactly like men, go to work, relations with tons of people, flaunt it, act less? I'm sorry, I don't really understand what you mean. Oh, okay. You mean as in the most liberated women are women that act like. Yeah, that's a problem. Thank you. You sent me money. I don't know how I get that. How does that work? That's $20. So yeah, I've never had a super chat before. So what starred? Did I star it myself? I'm scared to press anything in case it goes off, so whatever. But yeah, well, thank you. And yeah, no, I agree. It's very, very weird because the thing is that feminism, if we go from say, let's go, because also we need to talk about second wave feminism specifically, right? Sorry, we need to talk about the specific types of feminism. So the second wave feminism specifically, which was made like Friedan, Steinem, that was rallying against femininity, against being a wife, being a mother. Like it was a deliberate attack on the family, starting with, I would say, Simone de Beauvoir. So we had from Simone de Beauvoir, which is kind of proto second wave feminism, from then on till about the 1980s. So the 1960s till 80s was like the peak of second wave feminism. And a lot of people think that that was a really, really positive period in terms of like feminism, but actually it wasn't at all. And yeah, if I hadn't done all this reading, I would have no clue. So, because for example, right, the things that are attributed to feminism can very easily be attributed to other things. Like the Equal Pay Act was actually passed. In fact, it may have been passed before Freedom published A Feminine Mistake. No, it was published. The Equal Pay Act was not published, sorry. The Equal Pay Act was passed 3 years in 1963 before the National Organization of Women was formed in 1966. So it just so happens that because JFK passed the Equal Pay Act in America as part of his New Frontier, it was kind of hailed as a feminist victory, but actually it wasn't. It was basically, I'm not entirely sure why it was passed. I imagine it was because Kennedy was bringing in these kind of more equal kind of policies. So he was very he was quite a progressive president from what I know, and he was very, into just progressivism, right? The kind of good kind of progressivism. So yeah, and it just seemed logical because there were more women in the workplace, so it made sense for more women to be earning the same as men. So I think people don't understand that a lot of these legal reforms were passed kind of as a practicality. It wasn't really necessarily because they were saying that, I don't know, like women, it was more because, like, for example, during the First and Second World War, millions of women worked, right? They worked in the factories. It was like, go and do the jobs that the men have left behind. And because we had all these women in the factories and stuff, that kind of led to what came afterwards. So Simon Webb's book, The Suffragette Bombers, he says that a lot of people think the reason why women got the vote was because of the war, but he actually said the reason why women got the vote is because other first world countries were basically giving women the vote. But he hasn't said why were those other first world countries giving women the vote, which confused me. So I would have thought the reason why actually was because of the war, because the war shifted everything and because women were working. So I don't know, like, I mean, I would love to talk to him, but I would love to talk to Simon Webb. He's a very interesting old man. I think he's very much a racist, but he's a very intelligent, interesting old man. But yeah, I don't know, like the shifts in society, these are what kind of caused women to be doing certain things. For example, women having doing this, women doing that. And I think that if it wasn't for feminism, then a lot of things would have still happened. We just wouldn't have the kind of radicalization of society, the radical hatred of men, of manliness, of anything masculine, the hatred of femininity in women, and the supreme breakdown. Because my argument at its core is really, feminism just drives a wedge between men and women. And I think that's awful. I think it's very antithetical to what most people want. I think most people want someone to spend the rest of their life with or to even be with for a while. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's very strange. So you said, watch this speech, you'll love it. Only 3 minutes. What is the speech? I'll add it to my watch list because I'm always watching things. When I used to go to Speaker's Corner in 2023, somebody told me of a video called Open Door in praise of femininity and the feminine woman. So that's what I mean. I'm always learning, right? That video is fantastic because it's from the 1970s. So you had this organization basically pushing back against the women's movement. And these women, they're all like, they're all, how shall I say? They're all, okay, I got very distracted because I'm going to respond to that in a second. But the women in this documentary, they're all like very soft and feminine. But I think some of them, like one of them was a gymnast. I think they all had like jobs. They were just very against this like hatred of being a wife and mother and hatred of manliness and masculinity. I don't know. It's a fantastic documentary. So I was talking earlier about Mrs. America. I have seen that, and if you're referring to the clip where you have what's it, Kate Blanchett, where she's holding the feminine mystique and saying these women want to create a sex neutral society. So yeah, no, Mrs. America is very good, and yeah, I was just talking about Phyllis Schlafly. Like she literally is so she was so ahead of her time, and she was very brave. I have never heard a woman from the anti-suffrage movement articulate feminism so well. Well, a lot of the people who rallied against women getting the vote were other women. Mary Augusta Ward, Queen Victoria, even. Like, a lot of people don't seem to realize that it's actually a lot of women. A lot of women were against abortion being legal. A lot of women were against women getting the vote. A lot of women were concerned with this. Like a lot of women, like myself, are very against feminism. So, it's a big misconception because I think a lot of women, they see this and like, oh God, this is ridiculous. It's just a big mess. And yeah, I'm someone, I consider myself with very much liberal values. Like I'm not, I don't think abortion should be illegal because I think that's very impractical. I do think it's good for women to have the right to vote. I would say I'm a very modern woman. I mean, I would say in general, like I would say I'm quite a, progressive modern person. Like I make videos, I write books, I write a Substack. I'm a very independent person. I'm not even that interested in having children or even necessarily getting married, like not mainly because of like personal reasons, very very personal reasons, mainly to do with trauma and stuff. But yeah, like I don't I would say I'm a very modern woman. It's just that I don't like the misandry. I don't like the anti-man sentiment. I also don't like the victim mindset. And women, a lot of the women, they've become so hostile towards each other, and I don't like her. So I do have some personal reasons as well why I'm so anti feminism. And I want to kind of show people that being anti feminism doesn't mean you have to say women should all be like wives and like women shouldn't have careers. making fun of making fun of Pearl. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that being anti-feminism doesn't mean being against women being able to do anything. It's basically, I think feminism is very anti-women because it sells the narrative that women have always been historically oppressed, which is ludicrous. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh god, somebody so good, fan of the channel, he mentioned Shakespeare quite a lot. Shakespeare wrote countless stories about female characters. I mean, I don't know Shakespeare that well, but Macbeth, which I consider one of probably my favorite Shakespeare play, Lady Macbeth is such an important character. She's probably the most important character. Lady Macbeth and the Three Witches. And if you look at these like older archetypes, because I love fiction, right? So you have women and feminine characters, and you see how they can be very snide, manipulative, or they can be very virtuous, very genuine, gentle. I mean, it's a big ridiculous. I think it's really strange to have this view that women were always like. I don't even believe it. I don't believe that women were just always oppressed and told what to do. I mean, I don't think that has been the case for like the whole of human civilization. It's rubbish. I think that women are too, like, women are very, very socially intelligent and good with psychology and utilizing things to their advantage. I just see it from my own life. I see it from fiction. I don't think that's not how women operate. Women are not just, yes, sir, no, sir, three bags full, sir. Women are like, women use things to their advantage. Women are so clever. It's a very different type of intelligence. It's a social kind of intelligence. And that can be used very, very, very negatively and very, very positively. So I don't think that this idea of women having always been oppressed makes any sense. I mean, like I remember, like I know a guy who's like a devout Christian. He is a Protestant Calvinist, and I remember we were talking about this, right? He actually told me about the idea of complementarianism because that's a word I have used in some videos. Because again, I love learning, and complementarianism, it's a very Christian oriented word, but it's the idea that men and women are equal in value, but they have different roles and that they serve God. I don't believe in God, but they serve God in different ways, right? See, I don't like, and you remember him saying to me, like, I don't even think there ever was a patriarchy. I agree. I don't think there was a patriarchy in the sense of what feminists have told us. What it is that from, say, the rise of agriculture and domestication, that's when you had the actual rise of civilization, right? Post hunter gatherer age. And that's where you ended up with, the creation of actual civilizations and societies. And one might say that's where you had the birth of patriarchy, right? 12,000 years ago, roughly. So what it was that lineage became passed down from father to son because it ensured that you knew the paternity, right? So ensure that you knew who the father was. Everyone knows who the mother was because it's obvious. But it was a way to say this is the father. Because in the tribal era, the hunter-gatherer era, humans were more living in tribes. I mean, there's a theory that people were like bonobos, but that, some people have disproven that. Whatever, the fact of the matter is that from like 99% of human history, we were hunter-gatherers. And then in the domestication of plants and the rise of agriculture, which led to farming, which led to the basically feudal era, which led to the Christian era, which led to where we are now, industrial and then digital era. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like, how the hell would all of that progression have happened if the whole time the people that literally give birth to the other people were just like, you're being oppressed? It, no, it doesn't make sense. So I don't believe it. And I really, really think it's ridiculous. I don't believe that the whole of human history is a story, or at least the last 12,000 years of human history is a story of women being oppressed by men. So is this a joke? I think it's a big joke. I mean, even like if you look at the way in relationships, the way men, they'll be like, should I do this? Honey, what do you think I should do? Like, men will turn to their wife and say, right, what would you like me to do? What would you have me do? We're literally built to work together. We're not built to fight each other. Like, humans are built to compete with other tribes or other gangs or clans or families, but within the family and within the community, we're built to be harmonious. Like, we're neither entirely selfish nor entirely selfless. We're loyal to our tribe, to our pack, and yet we are not we're also, distrustful of the rivals. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. I don't believe in astrology. I actually went through like a massive phase when I was in my early 20s of being like obsessed with astrology and spirituality and all that stuff. I don't believe in any of it now because of my the illness that I had. So yeah, but thank you anyway. I understand it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek figure of speech. Yeah, I'm just sitting here going on and on and on. I actually completely forgot it's my birthday, but because I'm just talking about feminism. But I love this. Like, I love talking about this. I'm so passionate about this because I think it's so important. It's so fascinating. And I just feel like every time I read something, I learn something else. I'm constantly learning. And yeah, like okay, so the only book I read about feminism, there's an anti-feminist book that I've read so far that I really don't like, was The Manipulated Man by Esther Villa. I would say that book was horrible. So this book is tiny. I read it in like a few days, right? It's a horrible, horrible book. I did not like it. And 1 second. Yeah, I didn't like it because I would say that she is actually a misogynist based on what I was reading. So, because I was kind of curious and I was thinking she'd be starting by saying that, talking about the subtle ways of feminine manipulation and ways in which women subtly manipulate men, which would be very interesting to me. The whole book is basically her just putting down women and saying that men are women's slaves. It's actually awful. And like, I started reading it and I was like, wow, this is terrible. It's really badly written as well. It's just this ridiculous vitriol. I don't like it. It's a horrible, horrible book. I mean, this is just garbage. So I would say that yeah, unfortunately, people like Pearly Things. I'm talking about her because I'm just thinking about her because my next video is going to be about Pearl. But these kind of YouTubers, or who else? I don't know who else is that mainstream. Maybe Fresh and Fair, but they're male. Like, these kind of people, they're pushing actual misogyny. And I said it in one of my shorts. Like, anti-feminism is not the flip side of the flip side of feminism isn't necessarily I can't remember what I said now. I think I said anti-feminism isn't the flip side of feminism. The manosphere is the flip side of feminism. Because feminism is a form of institutionalized, politicized misandry. It's an attack on masculinity, it's an attack on marriage, it's an attack on basically male and female relations. You could very easily reduce it really and down and say feminism is an attack on love, right? It's an attack on love between males and females, which is a really, really reductionist thing to say. I don't know if anyone's ever actually said that, so that's my quote. But feminism is an attack on love. Anti-feminism is not saying that. Anti-feminism is trying to rectify that with the idea of bringing men and women together. But because anti-feminism is kind of an umbrella term, right? Because there's no unified anti-feminist movement. There's different types of anti-feminism. So it's kind of a spectrum. So on the one hand, you've got someone like, say, Cassie J, and then you've got someone like Camille Paglia, and then you go towards the end, you end up with Andrew Tate, right? So with anti-feminism, because people just see like the horrible, side of it, they don't actually see like if you go on Google, anti-feminism, it's basically just such a it really, really does not paint it in a good light at all. So I would like to, like, through my work here, make anti-feminism more palatable and actually make people see that anti-feminism isn't saying I'm anti-women. It's actually I'm very, very pro-female. I mean, I watched this movie, right, recently. I think it was last week, called The Women. It's from 1939, and it was so fascinating. Some of it was very, very dull. I think it could have been had some of it cut out. I got a bit bored in some parts. But so The Women, and I will do a video on this at some point, it's basically so the entire cast in the whole movie is all female. There is not a single man in the movie. They do talk about men quite a lot. You could even say it's a lot of it's about men, but there are no men. It's all females, even the extras, even the animals are women. So that is like really ahead of its time, right? I think that's so fascinating. And what it is, so you've got this married woman, and she just finds out that, so there are these women that find out that her husband is having an affair. And it basically shows how they gossip, they fight. And the woman that the lady's husband is cheating with, she works at a perfume store and she's horrible. So it's so, so fascinating. And like, it's kind of like a predecessor to films like, say, Heathers or Mean Girls or The Clique, these kind of more modern movies where you show female on female dynamics. And the ending is quite sweet. Like, it's a very, very clever, interesting movie. And again, I think some of it could have been cut out, but there's a lot of wisdom in that movie. And you can see how older generations of women had very different attitudes towards marriage, motherhood, family. Like, the woman who gets cheated on, like, her mother advises her to stay with her husband and to not talk about it. And she basically says, look, if you want to keep your home, keep your family, they have a daughter, keep everything you have, the home, the family, the child, and you just look the other way. And now a lot of women will say, oh, that's terrible. But I can see the wisdom in that. There's a reason why a lot of women, for example, whose husbands cheat, they stay with them, not because they're being oppressed, but because they realize that the whole unit is more important than the infidelity. And I think there's a difference between a man who's serially cheating, right? And the man who is like having a midlife crisis. And that's not to excuse cheating at all, by the way. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that, like, women understood men differently, right? Men obviously have higher sex drives than women. You know, people get bored. People get bored of monogamy, right? Both men and women do. So, you know, those women, they would say, instead of leaving my husband, because we have a family, because we have children, I don't want to ruin that. So we'll just stay together. And I think that takes a lot of emotional maturity. I'm not sure, I'm not even sure if I'm going to get married, but because I don't even know if I'm psychologically capable of doing that. But I can understand why women of the older generations would say that. And I can understand why they would say that. And I think that it shows that it was just a different generation, it's a different way of thinking. I'm not saying, because also I don't want to idealize the past at all. And of course, there are a lot of problems historically. I mean, we're like, to be honest, the modern, 2026, we are living in probably the most comfortable era of human history in the West. So I'm from the UK. So this country is like ridiculously comfortable. I mean, I say this to people, we have central heating, right? You can go to the supermarket and just buy a ready meal. I mean, I cook from scratch every day. I love cooking. I always cook. Like, actually, my brother came over this afternoon. He actually gave me this like nice shirt as a birthday present. But yeah, he comes over and I'm always like, oh yeah, there's food. He's like, oh, there's food. Not like literally like that, but he's always like, oh yes, there's food. But yeah, I'm always cooking because I have to eat. And also I just love to cook. But it's also like, I don't want to go out and eat. It's a waste of money. Why would I do that when I can just eat myself, cook myself? So what was I saying? Anyway, so the modern world has a lot of difficulties, but the past, it kind of I don't know. I think there's differences, like people got on with things differently. I think that the problems we have now in the West are more emotional and psychological, whereas the problems of the past were more to do with survival. So, for example, in war, the thing that kills people the most in war is starvation because of the lack of resources. I mean, yeah, like I don't know. Society's come a long way, but I don't like people who just go on and on and on about how horrible the modern age is. I think it's really, really annoying. There's a lot of good things about modern civilization. Thank you, my good man. Yeah, my birthday. So I'm going to stay on for a bit. I think I'll stay on for maximum 10 minutes because I've got my mum and sister coming over in half. I told them to come up in half an hour to give myself time to kind of, just chill out, whatever. And they're bringing Indian food. Yeah, I am half Indian. So that'll be delicious. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going to stay chatting here for a bit longer, maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes max, because I'm having fun. But yeah, that is, one of the benefits of being a highly talkative person is that if you put me alone, like with a bunch of people and say just entertain people, I can be like, okay, I'll just talk. Like, I have no script, no problem, nothing. I literally just sat and thought, what am I going to talk about? And just say what's in my head. Like every time I go to a therapy session, it's like blah 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 blah. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, talking. My problem is knowing. I've gotten better at it over the years. Actually, like for example, on all my podcasts, because I've been getting so used to doing them now for like 6 months, I'm very good at like being quiet and letting the other person speak. I only interject like if necessary, if they've wanted me to do that beforehand, but I've gotten much better at being quiet because yeah, the problem is because I'm a very, very hyper extroverted, outgoing person, I can just like dominate the conversation a lot. And I do like to hear other people. I mean, I think I would say I'm quite a good conversationalist because some chatty people are not good conversationalists. They're good at talking, but they're not good at listening. So I would say I'm quite a good listener. I am chatty, but I do listen as well. I can listen. So that's good. So yeah. So yeah, so anyway, so I've been talking for an hour. So just to summarize, I guess, I started doing YouTube 2012 when I was 15, started the kind of author videos, Serena Matcha author channel when I was 23, I think it was in 2021. So I was 23 or 24. And then I started doing the non-feminist channel in 2022 when I was about 24. And that developed into the Rational Female in 2023. And then became very, very like, I think after, of course, I completely forgot the most important thing to mention when I discovered Genevieve Mengo because, it was another video that I did on my channel with somebody and he brought her up to me and I was like, oh, I've never heard of her. So I got in touch with her as I just do. I just email people all the time because if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And yeah, we did that stream, which is uploaded, which, oh my God, I remember, like, I literally thought I had lost it. I thought that whole video I did with Janice was gone and I was so sad. And then when I found it on my Odyssey account, because I changed my email address to a free email, because I deleted my paid email, so it's gonna like cancel next year. I've got it for like another year. But yeah, I found that video with Janice and I was so happy. So I downloaded that and I uploaded it to YouTube and I was sick. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I mean, I usually, because like when I'm either cooking or eating, that's when I have like YouTube videos on, or getting ready in the morning. So yeah, I like to have videos on in the background. I mean, yeah, sometimes I have one The Office, sometimes American Dad, sometimes a YouTube video. So I'm just wondering, how do I find the time to do so many things all the time? I think I do, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, I'm doing the dishes as well. I always have something on while doing the dishes, otherwise it's so boring. So I usually, like, I'll be doing the dishes and then I have, something. Same here, I play YouTube in the morning when I'm cooking as well. It's so good. It's so good to do that, otherwise it's just boring. And it kind of, yeah, because I need stimulation. But yeah, I think the feminists like, I mean, for people who are like, if you are like a strident anti-feminist, I would definitely, I'm showing off all the books today, they're not my books, recommend The Feminist Lie. This book is very, very good and it's very, very short. I would seriously, seriously recommend it. Hello, Stewie. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this guy, Stewie, really cool guy, got a really great channel. He and his wife have a channel called, what is it? Frank and Martha. It's like a kind of fun vlog channel. Yeah. Also awesome novelist as well. Thank you for saying hello. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, life is getting yesterday when I was out with my friend, I was walking down the street and I was just like, for the first time in a long time, I actually feel very good about my life. And this is amazing. And I think one of the biggest reasons why is because I've stopped drinking alcohol. So yeah, I'm 4 months sober from alcohol. Alcohol, oh my god, alcohol is just awful. Like alcohol is such a waste of time. Um, yeah, I'm so glad that alcohol is just gone. So yeah, 4 months of AA meetings. Honestly, I couldn't be happier. I'm so I'm so like yeah, I'm just feel so good about my life now. Things are much better, yeah. Eating breakfast as well. I guess when you're alone, you use YouTube more. Yeah, I mean, I'm alone most of the time anyway because I live alone, which I like. And yeah, I guess it's just fun like having stuff on because it kind of keeps me awake. No, awake is the wrong word. Engaged. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I say I'm alone most of the time, but then I'm constantly like I have people over, or I have friends or family come see me, or I, sometimes see people. I go to therapy, so I'm not. It's probably more like 50-50 actually. I'm not constantly alone, but I'm more alone now than I was because I'm living alone, which I love. I love living alone. Yeah, same. I drank too much. I've gained way too much from alcohol. You gotta stop, man. Just stop. Alcohol is not gonna like alcohol gives you nothing. That's what a mate of mine says. Alcohol gives you nothing. So I would seriously say to anyone out there who's struggling with alcohol, like, okay, I'm gonna say this because other people are not gonna say this. If you have a serious problem with alcohol, go to an AA meeting. It's never too early to stop. You don't have to wait till you've been drinking for like 20 years. Like, I haven't even been drinking that long. I've been drinking for a year. Well, was drinking for a year. Before that, I didn't drink for 7 years. And then before that, I drank again for like a year and a half. So probably even less than that. So I have really not drank very much in my life. It's just that when I do drink, I don't drink a glass, I drink a bottle, and I just start thinking about alcohol like constantly all the time. So like if I was basically like so if I hadn't stopped drinking in February, by now I would probably be getting up in the morning, pouring myself a glass of prosecco and just drinking it, and then I just like, eat, cook, eat, blah 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 blah, drink, sit and drink, watch cartoons, do my videos. I probably would do my videos sober, but then I would be drinking and editing. Yeah. No, honestly, oh, my computer's just suddenly fuzzy. Yeah, it's really not good, but it kills time and really, really like beer. I can quit Pall Mall, Red Drop, that like a brick, but beer is like, yeah, I can't comment on that too much. I don't, yeah. Alcohol for me is very, very bad. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. For me, it's terrible. I mean, I have to constantly, like, I literally have 3 drinks every video I have. I have green tea, water, and San Pellegrino lemon. So, hmm, yeah, talking nonstop for 1 hour. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'm gonna have a very nice meal with my mom and sister in 20 minutes. And yeah, honestly, I mean, it's been a very, very nice day. So I got up and I was very happy to see the video that I posted yesterday is like performing very, very well. Because I've noticed like I noticed some of my videos, they do well, then some don't do so well, then some do well. So it's like up and down. But yeah, the video I posted yesterday, I think because I use a clever thumbnail. I mean, also I generally have a good what's the word I'm looking for? Like I have a good inclination now of what video actually is going to do well. Sometimes I can't tell, but I can tell like videos where I have a person who's familiar in the thumbnail often do well, like Theon Greyjoy, Carrie Bradshaw, or yeah, I don't know. Like there are certain videos of mine that do quite well. And yeah, because I had Lacey Green, and I find like when I go straight into the topic, and because if I open with a study, I don't think it's as interesting. If I open with a person, it does do well. So I'm noticing these little things. But yeah, honestly, ChatGPT has helped so much. Like I make the thumbnail now, I ask it what word should I put on it, but what chest outdone. And yeah, so it's an absolute pleasure. It's very, very rewarding. So I'm so happy about it. Glad I never got into drinking alcohol. Yes, good man. Because when I have any liquid, I chug it. Don't know why, but if it's there, I have to drink it. I'm the same. Yeah. You guys still talking about drinking? Yeah, I think it's like smoking. If everyone smokes, you do too, and everyone drinks, you do. Yeah, the social. I mean, it's the same for me. It was the same with weed. Like, because I so yeah, I'll tell a little story about weed. I smoked weed. I think the first time I was 18 the first time I smoked, and I smoked on and off like for maybe between the ages of like 18 and 22. I smoked like maybe a few times a year. I did actually go like a long time, like 1 year and a half without it because I had a very bad experience. And then when I was 22, my brother and I went to Amsterdam together. It was really fun. But after that, I started to want to smoke weed a lot. So it became basically an almost, I would say practically a daily habit, 6 to 7 times a week smoking weed. And so between 2020, late 2022 and early 2024, I go to the park near where I live, just light up a joint and just smoke, right? And oh my God, it was like I was on a different planet. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, today I want to round up, just finish what I was saying before. So I saw I'm gonna get my first YouTube payment next month. And my brother came over this afternoon. That was lovely. It's always good to see him. And he gave me this lovely top. And then yeah, I got ready and got YouTube ready. And yeah, just been chatting. And yeah, I guess now we'll just be having dinner with the family. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. Honestly, like you guys make it all worth it. And I really want to just reach as many people as possible. I want this to be my thing like over the next couple of years. I want this to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm just, I keep emailing new people to come onto the podcast. Anyone who's like, I'll find somebody's channel because I'm always watching videos, right? If I like somebody's video, I'll email them and say, hi, saw your video, I want to come on the podcast. And it has to be someone who I think will add something, not someone who's just going to be like irrelevant, but someone who's going to add something to the channel. And yeah, I want to make anti-feminism palatable. I want to show people that being against feminism doesn't mean you're against women. Absolutely not. Anti-feminism just means I am against division between the sexes. I am against misandry. No, anti-feminism means I'm pro-relationships between males and females. That's what it means to me anyway. So thanks, guys. So much talking. Blah, 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 blah. When will I be live again next? I'm supposed to do a stream with someone on next Saturday. Yeah, so hopefully next Saturday I'll be streaming with somebody. If that doesn't happen, then I'll definitely be live on Tuesday, the 23rd, for the usual podcast with Tim and Yana and the others. So anyway, thanks guys so much. Have a lovely rest of the evening, day, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for wishing me a happy birthday. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm so happy. 29 just feels like, yeah. I mean, I guess 30 is the big one, but 29 just feels like 28.2. So, yeah.